Investigation Discovery is really awful, and I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool when I was younger because I'm like, ooh, look at all this crime stuff in one channel. But now, having done this and studied murder cases for the past few months, you realize just how just awful it is.
So we're covering today the case of Katherine Foster, who was a student at the University of South Alabama, and this was a listener suggestion from Chris. So thank you,
Yes,
Chris.
thank you, Chris.
So in doing a little bit of research, I wasn't finding a whole lot online. We found some recent news articles. The only thing that seems sort of all encompassing that we could use as a guide was an episode from Investigation Discovery's Nightmare Next Door.
What was the name of the episode? Do you remember?
It's like, Dear Catherine, it's me, the killer.
Oh God, that's just how stupid is this? And you couldn't even find a police report, right?
No, so this was episode 3 of season 10 of this bullshit, and
Yeah,
really this
if you
is
care to watch it, which I wouldn't recommend.
I wouldn't
it.
recommend. I had to buy it for $1.99 from Amazon Prime. So it was $1.99 well wasted. So here's some of my problems with it. This was a case that was in the very early 80s. Everybody in the episode looked like they were dressed current.
Yeah.
They didn't even make any effort whatsoever into making this look like something from the time period.
Yeah, they look like they're from the 2000s. It
Yeah.
looked very modern.
So there's that. And then this morning I went into work to do a little bit of makeup time because I was sick last week, and I noticed that there was another podcast. They're called Lock Your Doors. They also covered Catherine's case, and they had a shorter episode. I thought I'd go ahead and give it a listen while I was doing some work, and come to find out, Investigation Discovery completely changes people's names in their episodes. Completely. So throughout this, we're going to have one name. We'll go ahead and specify what the real name is. And just a disclaimer, there could be people in our coverage that don't even exist because I haven't found any evidence of them existing in the news articles.
Yeah.
Other than what happened in the Investigation Discovery episode.
Yeah, so I don't expect a lot of people to know this case a lot in depth. So I'm not gonna be like, sorry if we fuck this up. But if you just happen to know, just give us the benefit of the doubt, please. There's very little to go on here. An Investigation Discovery just fucking sucks and changes names.
Right. So if you have info, feel free to let us know. We can make a correction next episode.
Yeah, we can gladly do a short little addendum segment. So, yeah. Oh, before we start on this though, we're on Apple Podcasts now, and we need reviews, written reviews. And if you want to give us 5 stars, give us 5 stars. That's a really good thing. That'll really help us get noticed and stuff. So
Yeah.
please do that and write a review.
Right.
Reviews, written reviews help.
So we have 4 reviews right now. 4 ratings right now, 1 review. Thank you for those who went ahead and did that.
Yes.
Very much appreciated.
Yes, very appreciated. So yeah, do that. Like and subscribe on YouTube. And I don't think Google Play or Stitcher has any sort of feature. I don't know. I don't check that shit.
No, I know on Podbean you can heart the episode, but I don't think that shows anywhere. I think that just shows if you or I we could see it.
Yeah, I think it just goes by downloads or listens or some shit. But yeah. Anyways, okay, so let's
start on this
continue.
craziness.
Yeah, so this was a college freshman, Katherine Foster, at the University of South Alabama. Student body calls it South, so University of South, is that what they call it?
So they just call it the South.
They just call it the South, okay.
Yeah, so there is a University of Alabama, and then there's the University of South Alabama. So it's just a kind of slang thing that they do.
And she was majoring in physical therapy.
Yep. So before we kind of get into that, I did a little mini interview with Chris last night because I didn't really feel like any of the information that we had covered anything from like a personal perspective.
Yeah, so I guess I should, if I could say really quickly, what I also didn't like about the investigation discovery episode was that it was all accounts of the investigators and the police officers, never the victims or their families. So it felt very impersonal. Impersonal, is that the right
Yeah, I think
word?
impersonal is the right word.
Yeah, and it just it just felt, it just lacked emotion. And this reminds me of something, like I was working with my poker coach Brad Wilson recently, and when I told him I had a true crime podcast, he told me that he liked true crime, but he just recently got out of it, and the reason for it, and I this really rang true when doing this episode. The reason why he doesn't really listen to it anymore is that it really glorifies the perpetrator, and it just kind of skims over like the victims, the family's experience and all that sort of thing. And I really felt that while watching this episode. Not that it like truly glorified the killer, but it was just it didn't connect to the families or the victims' families. It was all just like, oh, what did the investigators feel? The police are like, we really feel the rush of almost catching a perpetrator. They like literally say this. They just talk about like how much of a high they were on to like serving justice. Just, I don't know. It just felt so empty in comparison.
It really was.
But yeah.
So yeah, like, so a little bit of information on like Mobile itself, as well as the university. So Mobile is located on the Gulf Coast. It is considered the mother of Mardi Gras.
You're speaking German, jeez.
Mutter. Okay.
Yeah.
So I talked to Chris about this. I'm like, who does it better? NOLA, way better.
Yeah, I would have to assume.
Way better.
Not that I would want to go there, I don't think.
No.
I mean, having just been to New Orleans, Halloween was something. I can't imagine Mardi Gras.
No.
There was not enough like cops or security for Halloween, so there's definitely not going to be enough for Mardi Gras.
No,
so.
if I want to go, like, I think I'm going to go like after Mardi Gras is done.
Yeah.
So one, it's nice and cool because, I'm of the north.
Yep.
I definitely am. I don't like humidity or heat.
Yep.
And maybe like all of the crazies will have gotten, it out of their system at that point.
They'll have sobered up and they'll not be in the mood to sexually assault people anymore.
They won't want to see my tits.
Yeah, because I was saying, you were like, I want to see it from a balcony. I'm like, yeah, but if you're waiting on said balcony, people are going to be yelling up to you, show us your tits.
Yeah, no. No way. So Mobile is a lot like any mid-sized southern town. Apparently it clings to its past while trying to set foot in the future.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So that's a lot of the reason why South Alabama was started. They needed a major university in that area.
Yeah, because there's nothing there.
So USA, as they'll call it, if we want to just it's USA.
USA. Okay, USA.
It's known for its physical therapy school, which Katherine was attending. And it has one of the better med schools in the South. Apparently up until 2009 they did not have a football team, which is kind of sacrilegious in the South.
Yeah, because the South really loves their college ball,
especially Alabama. Did you ever hear about that situation with the two universities like poisoning like the trees?
No.
So there's the University of Alabama and then there's Auburn. And apparently they had some sort of football rivalry, and the fans took it to like completely the next level. One of them put a whole bunch of poison in water jugs, and at night went to like Auburn, and they had these two like very ancient, beautiful oaks like outside of the campus, and he poisoned them.
Oh my God.
He poisoned their trees.
Oh my God. No, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He poisoned the trees. So football taken very seriously, so it's strange that it took them so long to actually have a team. They've always had a pretty good baseball program. Their men's basketball team won an NCAA tournament in '89 against Alabama.
Wow, okay.
Which was considered a huge upset at the time. The school itself has a pretty decent student population, but very few students actually live on the campus. So there's about 25,000 students. there when Chris was there in 1993.
Okay.
And less than 3,000 of those actually lived on campus in the dorms.
Okay. Is he from Alabama or?
So he's from all sorts of places. He was a Navy brat. So I know
Okay.
he spent quite a bit of time in Germany,
Mm-hmm.
but then ended up like graduating from high school in Mississippi and then
Okay.
went to college in Alabama.
Okay.
So apparently the really big draw for this university is they offer in-state tuition rates to students from the coastal counties in Mississippi and the neighboring county in Florida.
Okay.
So it expands the student base, brings in some diversity. He did note that the coast is generally pretty diverse as far as the Deep South goes.
Yeah.
Apparently tourism and military help that out. There's not a lot of overt racism compared to other parts of the state.
Yeah, that was going to be my question.
Yeah, he did definitely enjoy his time there, and he never felt like he wasn't included due to his race or anything like that.
Okay, well, that's good.
So,
I've heard a lot of people say that Mobile really, like the city really sucks.
yeah.
And I don't know. It sounds like that the college was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, did he say anything about Mobile in particular?
Other than that, like, than not feeling not welcome, like, that's
Yeah.
really that. I mean, I
Okay.
did look up some, pictures and stuff to try to get a better grasp of what it looked like. It looks sort of like, New Orleans a little bit, but like a lighter version, I guess you
Yeah.
could say. You've got a whole bunch of like antebellum type homes, and
Mm-hmm.
there's some Victorian mansions. You got the oaks with like Spanish moss all over them.
Yeah, which, is pretty. I mean, just everyone that I've talked to that's really well traveled told me like Mobile, Alabama is the worst, like as far as like cities go in America. It's the worst city in America.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't understand, because I mean, you have like the coast right there, and that's automatically bonus points for me. So I don't know. I was watching this and researching the university. It seemed like it wasn't that bad of a place.
No, it just seemed like any state type university, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that I'd want to go to Mobile.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'd see it. I don't know.
Maybe
Maybe
passing through.
Yeah, if I was traveling through, like, I've done road trips, but I haven't gone through the South. I mean, I don't know. I'd be scared to go through like Texas and the Southwest. I don't even know if there's anything interesting there I'd even want to see. But
Right.
if I was like going to Savannah, Georgia, which I really want to visit again, I would be willing to drive west through Alabama and Mississippi. But anyways.
Like maybe like visit Savannah and then like drive west and do like another like New Orleans trip.
Yeah, because I mean, you could get to New Orleans from Savannah in what, a day, maybe?
I don't know.
Day and a half.
I don't know. How about you?
Yeah, I can throw on my my Google Maps.
Oh, you're gonna Google Map real quick?
Yeah, I can. Well,
Okay.
I would if I had my phone. Oh, I do have my phone. Okay, but yeah, you can continue with
I'll
what
continue.
you found out. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really what I had found out in particular from Chris. This murder caused one of the longest manhunts in Mobile, Alabama history. So this kind of went on for a long time and was a cold case for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much how this started, Katherine enrolled in 1979. She was considered to be smart, bright, what you'd consider to be like an all-American Southern girl. Everybody loved her. She came from a big Catholic family. She was the salutatorian of her class. And she was from a town called Pascagoula, Mississippi, and traveled back and forth all the time to visit home. So it sounds like it was sort of like maybe like a border city.
Yeah.
Chris did say that where he went to high school was about 30 minutes or so from Pascagoula.
Oh wow.
Yep. So, I mean, he did hear some things about it, but it really was just like, yeah, that's where the girl who got murdered was from.
Wow. And I just found out that from Savannah to New Orleans is 9 hours and 27 minutes. I never would have guessed. You pass through 3 states.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, so anyways. Yeah.
Could be done with a rental.
Yeah, could be done with a rental.
Like
Could be
fly
done with a
into
rental.
Savannah, get a rental, have like a day trip over
Yeah.
to see the sights along the way.
I mean,
and-
that was like 1 day of driving for me to Seattle, and it took 6 fucking days. So, I mean, yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, and
I
then
never
like
would've guessed.
leave the rental in New Orleans and fly back from there.
Yeah.
So, in terms of, why this was kind of a cool situation for her at the college, her high school boyfriend, Investigation Discovery calls him Jake Donovan. Really, his name was Tom Jowden. He supposedly was on a soccer scholarship and was going to be going to school with her.
Yeah.
So that's nice. I don't know if he really was on a soccer scholarship, but this is what Investigation Discovery alleges.
They made it sound like that. Remind me their little spat they had ahead of time, because I think that was made up too. But anyway.
So I really, really do think a lot of these like weird little like juicy bits in here probably were made up.
Yeah, because like if it just seemed too perfect to include in there, too perfect to make you think, oh, maybe this person did it. You know what I mean?
And I think that like because this is such an old case, I don't think they had a lot to go on, so they had to add like bits and pieces in here to round out the story.
Yeah, but just God, that feels so scummy.
It does.
But anyway.
So supposedly, allegedly, there was a girl also named Suzy Shanahan, who we don't even know exists because I haven't found her mentioned in any other research other than Investigation Discovery.
Yep.
Supposedly joins her in the freshman class and was best friends with her since elementary school.
Yep.
So the other part that I found very interesting was, and even before I discovered this weird stuff about the episode, the two meet Jamie Kellum in registration. All were from Pascagoula, Mississippi, and they all became great friends.
I mean, if they were all from Pascagoula,
how did they not know each other?
Yeah, wouldn't they have gone to the same school and like things like that? Would there really be multiple high schools in this one town in Mississippi? I doubt it.
I really doubt that. I mean, like there are some, bigger cities who have multiple schools. So like Portland has like 4 high schools or something, not including the private ones.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the case. I mean, you've got like Lewiston here.
Yeah, you have Lewiston High, and then you could go to St. Dom's.
Like if you want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's I really highly doubt that they were unfamiliar with each other.
Yeah.
I think that was just another bit that they
Yeah, I don't think they were all from Pascagoula.
No.
And if they were, they would have known each other for a long time, and then they probably would have played into that episode. So I just think they weren't from Pascagoula.
No.
Anyway.
So, anywho, Mobile, at the time supposedly had a brand new mall that they like to frequent. Because this is the 80s and,
that's all you can do.
It's mall culture at this time.
Yep.
So, on
no
February...
mall goths.
No mall goths, but we got... Yeah. February 21st, 1980, in the afternoon, the trio were supposed to go shopping in the city's downtown district and were supposed to meet over at Jamie's car after Katherine got out of class. Supposedly, they waited for 10 minutes. Katherine never came. Jamie claimed that she had taken off with Jake.
Well, Jamie went, supposedly, allegedly, according to the episode, Jamie went to go find her, then ran back saying she was running off with Jake.
Right.
Yeah.
Which you'll see later on, the story kind of changes a little bit.
Yeah.
So, they do their shopping, and that's that.
Yeah, Katherine no-shows for her 2 p.m. class with Suzy, which is apparently not like her. She checks with Jake, and he hadn't seen her. And allegedly, Jake and Katherine were having a fight because Jake kissed a random girl at a Mardi Gras party. And so I just don't get this, because the way it was portrayed, like, it just seemed too weird. They brought it up, like, right when she disappeared to be like, oh, maybe the boyfriend's a suspect. And just... You would think that if this dude is going to why would, you just think about human nature. It would take a really dumb motherfucker to just randomly kiss a girl in front of his girlfriend at a party.
Right. Let's think about it this way, too. So this is like the South, where people are generally a little bit more polite.
Yeah.
You've got these 2 people who are high school sweethearts who are making the concerted effort to go to college together. To keep that going. Why just would... It seems very unlikely. And when we're talking about Jake, it's Jake, a.k.a. Tom.
Yeah.
But since we already made the note saying Jake, I think I'm just going to stick with Jake throughout this.
Yeah, I am too. I don't think anyone will care.
If anyone really wants to watch that awful episode as well. Don't. But I don't want to confuse them if they do.
Yeah.
So, supposedly they were in a miff because some random scandalous kiss happens at the not so great Mardi Gras.
Yep.
So by 6 p.m., Katherine is still missing.
By the way, that party, how it was portrayed, it looked like an opium den. But
it did look like an
anyways.
opium den, but everyone still wasn't wearing like appropriate clothes for it to even be an opium den.
Yeah, they just looked like it looked like a modern day party. Even the music that was playing didn't seem like it would be what would be played in the 80s. So,
right?
Yeah, but anyways.
So Suzy calls Katherine's mother. The family immediately drives out to the campus, and campus security was already on the case. The Fosters tried to file a police report but couldn't because she was 18 years old, thus now an adult. So they couldn't take the report for 24 hours.
I always get so about that rule because a lot can happen in 24 hours, but I understand being an adult. No.
Right, especially an adult in college.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Lakey, we don't know if that's really his name, although he personally, supposedly, was taking part in the interviews for the episode. He was the head of security at the time. He met with family and friends, and he felt that there was a legitimate cause for concern with all of this after hearing, their accounts of Katherine, that she probably didn't just up and take off.
Yeah. So they filed the missing persons report next day on February 22nd. And then news of the disappearance just spreads like wildfire throughout the university, and everybody's worried about some sort of boogeyman, I guess.
Yeah.
Though they think the boyfriend did it.
Right. So yeah, the police at this point join in on the search. Katherine's friends began flyering, starting their own little search party, going dorm to dorm, handing out missing person flyers.
Yep.
So by that Saturday, so it's 2 days later? 2 days later.
Yeah, about 2 days later, yeah.
Police, students, and families start a search party by canvassing the woods nearby the campus. Not far from her dorm, near the molecular science building, they find what they think is a student taking a nap. And Jimmy Lakey, the head of security, confirms it is Katherine's body. I have my own little suspicion here. What if this Jimmy Lakey was the guy who did it? He seems to really be inserting himself.
Yeah, I know, and he was the one talking probably the most in the investigation discovery thing, right?
He really seems to be all over the place during this.
Yeah, well, if they didn't have a full confession, from the actual killer, I would start thinking some things, but yeah.
So the first guy on the scene was Sergeant Wilbur Williams. He was a USA alum, so this really hit home for him. And you will I noticed throughout this whole thing, this really seemed to be just an ego thing for him.
Yeah.
He found it to be a direct insult that this had taken place at his college.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It was
how
really...
dare somebody kill in my alma mater? just whatever, dude. But yep.
Yeah, it was some weird kind of masculine ego weirdness.
Yeah.
So apparently, at the crime scene, there was no sign of a struggle near or around the body. There were no drag marks, nothing, no leaves everywhere, no sign of sexual assault, no altercation. Her clothes were neat. She looked like she had been recently made up. She had neat hair, neat makeup. Apparently, cause of death, she was shot 2 times, once in the back of the head and then one close range at the temple. And it appeared that she had went willingly into the woods.
She had no ligature marks or anything like that.
Nothing like that.
Yeah.
Apparently the only thing that was amiss was the pool of blood underneath her.
Yeah.
So the medical examiner at the time thought she had been dead somewhere between 8 to 24 hours due to the condition of the body. There wasn't any major decomposition. Insects hadn't moved in at this point, which is very common when you're out in the woods, even for a day. It was thought that she had been abducted, killed, and then staged in the woods.
Yeah.
So at this point, the student body was in a state of panic, especially the ladies.
Yeah. So some students just left altogether because they just thought, some dude's just killing women.
Right. So at this point, they question Suzy and Jamie. Suzy's very emotional that her best friend has been killed.
So was Jamie.
But then she comes up with this other type of story that on the way out to like meet at the car. Apparently she was with her. She claimed that she had forgotten her purse, went back inside, never came back out, and thus was ditching them for Jake, aka Tom.
Yeah, but their alibis they considered them airtight, so
Yeah, based on everything.
They didn't suspect either of them.
No, and they told him to go check in with Jake, but before they can go check in with him, a lead comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So a student comes forward claiming she might have witnessed Catherine's murder. Apparently, on Saturday night, about 2:30 a.m., the student had an asthma attack and went to the window to get air. And she heard 2 gunshots, which she initially thought were fireworks. 2 campus officers also reported hearing the gunshots, and they thought it was students setting off fireworks for Mardi Gras. And it also lines up with the time of death that the medical examiner gave of 8 to 24 hours.
Yeah, it worked out perfectly, really. So everybody thought it was fireworks, but they're just like, well, maybe they were actually gunshots. So,
right.
Jake, the boyfriend, couldn't give a solid alibi in his whereabouts. I mean, he was sleeping in his dorm. Where else are you going to be at fucking 2:30 that night? I mean, I don't know. And so they made him take a polygraph, which he apparently failed miserably. But as I'm aware, polygraphs aren't enough to indict somebody.
No.
And the sergeant truly didn't believe he did it, so he just let him go.
Yeah, he thought he was like just overly emotional due to his girlfriend's death.
Which is understandable.
Definitely. And all that emotion and stress like skewed the results.
Yeah, like I would never willingly take a polygraph, especially during something like this. It's just there's just too many things that can go wrong.
No, like I'm an anxious person as it is. Like I would fail it miserably. I know I would.
Yeah. So it just don't take polygraphs, folks.
No,
don't do it.
You don't have to.
Yeah, you do not have to do that. It'll hurt you more than help you, because let's say you pass it with flying colors, they'll just disregard it and try to find another reason to pin you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't work with cops. Anyway,
so 2 days after that body was found, her funeral was held at her family church in Pascagoula. Apparently, tons and tons of people came out, lots of students.
Yep. They switched their focus to a maintenance worker named Ronnie Willis. So this is something that I just couldn't wrap my head around. So he worked as a maintenance worker at the university, but he had a record for attempted assault and rape. And his victim looked just like Katherine, who was a South Coed. So he assaulted somebody on campus, and yet they let him work there. Like, he tried to rape her and actually shot her in the leg. Yeah, so, like, I don't know, one, how he didn't do, like, 10 years for that, like, assault with a deadly weapon. But I think it's 10 years for assault. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
It's quite a bit. And then he's allowed to work at the place where his victim was from. Like, what the fuck? But this is apparently according to the investigation discovery case.
So this could be just another little juicy tidbit they threw in to make this exciting.
Yeah, so apparently this was the case, allegedly, but he had an alibi via his time cards, and he's completely cleared.
Yeah, so at this point, the case goes cold.
For like 3-ish years.
Yeah, until February 22nd, 1983. Little Yergi here, still not born yet.
This is almost 3 years to the day.
Yeah. Yeah, investigators get a call about a suicide. Louis Shea, which is a fake name for Michael Maris, was one of the security guards that heard the alleged gunshots. When they actually went to his home, they found what was essentially a shrine to Katherine. And I wouldn't really call it a shrine. It seemed like one of like those crazy like armchair detective rooms with the maps with the string lines.
It just seems like the Pepe Sylvia thing from It's Always Sunny. Like it just looked like he was trying to solve it himself. And this is alleged. Like this was according to investigation discovery. We don't know if that was actually true. As well as the makeshift cell above his garage.
Right. So the makeshift cell, that was what weirded them out a lot. Apparently there was a bed in there and it was all caged in with chicken wire, but apparently what the situation was is he had a grandfather with dementia, and they made a room for him up there, and they kept him caged in at night so that he wouldn't just wake up and start wandering the neighborhood. Apparently like he had like autopsy reports and all sorts of stuff highlighted. Really, I think he was just trying to to do it himself. Maybe he made himself crazy at this point and suicidal.
Yeah,
Who
I don't
knows?
know if he did. So is it true that he did overdose and die?
Yes, he took around 200 sleeping pills.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yes.
Was there a note found?
And I hadn't found any evidence of that.
Okay. But yeah, so I mean, it's impossible that it was Louis Shea because he was with another campus security guard when they heard the gunshot. So time frame, time of death, no sexual assault. Like
that was one thing that I found really, really weird. Like, if someone's gonna die, why does there have to be sexual assault? I mean, probability, sure, but like they really were. They honed in on that more than once. No sexual assault.
Well, when a dude kidnaps a woman and he's gonna kill her, it's thought of like, well, he's gonna go this far, like psychologically, wouldn't you just do that too? I mean, that's the thought process anyway. But I agree, it's just kind of like, well, why would you assume that happens? That doesn't always happen.
No, it doesn't always happen. I think they did that for like.
I mean, even child killers,
Yeah.
like they don't. Not all of them are pedophiles,
Right.
things like that. It just, or even like, like what did the Night Stalker sexually assault women?
Oh yeah, he raped
He
them.
did. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. I'm thinking of some like serial killer of women who wasn't actually raping them.
Yeah.
I know Jack the Ripper comes to mind. But yeah, there's a more modern one that would be a better example, but I can't think of one. But anyway.
So at this point, the case goes cold and becomes, a thing of campus legend.
Yeah.
Like, all the people that were, like, students at the time have come and gone. Faculty has come and gone. We've got new detectives on the case. So 22 years after her murder, we've now got Sergeant Mike Morgan, who was also an alumni. And this is where it gets kind of weird, and where I think investigation discovery started embellishing a little bit.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot of it. So on December 4th, 2002, he supposedly gets a call from a gentleman by the name of Bobby Wicker, who was an AA. And he traveled to Pascagoula to meet with him.
You have Glenna Taylor,
Yes.
so was it actually a woman?
So from what I heard in the podcast that I listened to this morning while I was doing some work, and then I started looking things up online under Glenna Taylor. Apparently, the person in AA, she was a sponsor, was a woman named Glenna Taylor. And it wasn't some sort of tip that was called in. I never actually found out by doing my research how they found all of this out, but Glenna Taylor didn't give any info up until they actually served her with like a warrant.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird. I don't know how they would find that out to have enough evidence to serve someone.
Yeah. So she like kept her mouth shut until they served her with papers. So a woman confesses to I'm not going to really say Bobby here, but we'll say Glenna, that she had killed a woman at USA, and she decides to have her go through some of the 12-step tenets to write down what she's done to harm others.
Mm-hmm. And I think what had happened was this person confessed to her, yeah, I killed somebody at the university many years ago for no reason. And she was just like, well, just write a letter and read it at the cemetery. So she confessed that to try to get the letter, I guess. Like, if you get the letter... Well, okay, so how Investigation Discovery spun it was like, hey, man, I met this person, and if you can get her letter, you can convict her, which apparently didn't happen at all.
That doesn't seem like it was. Like, that there... I know there was a letter. There's pictures of the letter.
Yeah.
But how this letter came about and how it was presented to police, I don't know how Investigation Discovery is spinning it is legitimate.
Yeah. So apparently,
allegedly,
this woman lured Katherine into the woods to collect plants for a botany class, shot her with a stolen .22 from her grandmother, disposed of it in a dumpster. Another gun at one time was found by a pond, but it was ruled out to be the murder weapon. And this woman was named Jamie Letson, which they found out later was Jamie Kellum, who had gotten married. and she had been arrested multiple times for theft. And the way they said it in Investigation Discovery, she was arrested multiple times before going to college. So I don't know if they meant to say that she was arrested multiple times after college, because that's what made more sense.
Right.
Because it kind of made it sound like her life went to shit after university.
Yes. It clearly did.
So he called Mike Morgan called the medical examiner and asked him, could you have made a mistake on the time of death? And he said, yeah, absolutely. Due to the shade and temperatures in the woods, it's possible to have preserved the body, and it really could have pushed it back to 48 hours. And at that point, they thought the 2:30 a.m. gunshots were probably really fireworks, like everybody originally thought. When you start saying, oh, somebody got shot, then people start superimposing these things on their memories and be like, well, maybe they were gunshots, and they just kind of went with that when really it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So they apparently went to Jamie's stepfather's
home.
his home, and said, we need to take a look at a letter. And apparently he said, and this is according to one of the investigators, oh, you mean the letter? And I was thinking at this point, well, if he knows he has a confession letter and he hasn't reported that, isn't that obstruction?
That is obstruction and is a crime.
Yeah, so wouldn't he be arrested too?
Right.
So anyways, he provides it to police, and apparently the motive was jealousy of Jake and Katherine.
So that's where it gets really weird. Like, I found other things about this too. In some of the information online that I found today, apparently Jamie was walking around with a lock of Jake's hair. Don't know how she got that, but that was like in official news reports.
Huh, all right.
And was like really, really obsessed, which really like ties it back as well into like a couple of things. One, if they all knew each other for Pascagoula, I could understand that.
Yeah.
However, if they're just all incoming college freshmen, you know, your intake is usually like August, September into school.
Yeah,
she becomes that crazily obsessed by February.
Only known Jake for like 6 months. I mean, I used to work with somebody who became crazy obsessed with me in a short period of time, so it is possible.
I mean, I guess it is possible if she's like really like unstable.
Yeah, I mean,
she clearly was. Okay, this makes sense. I'm talking shit. So
yeah, and she's arrested for murder on 11/21/2008 at the Wingard House in Jackson, Mississippi. She gives a confession freely, like she needed to get it off her chest. And man, did this girl look busted.
Oh, yes.
This girl look busted. Oh, my God. And yeah, Jamie was at the funeral. Katherine's parents took this very hard and didn't believe it at first. But despite the confession, she pleads not guilty. This is why you don't confess. This is why you just plead not guilty, let your lawyers work it out. And tries to blame Louis Shea because they found all that stuff. But, you know, the jury obviously wasn't buying it. Though, with the new cause of death, it is now more likely to infer that Shea could have been responsible. Could have been.
Right. Because
now those fireworks, they don't mean anything. He could have actually, like, gone and done it. But they didn't talk about looking into his alibi during that time. So it's never fully looked into.
Right. It could have like really go a whole bunch of different ways. You know, we have Jamie here who clearly is nuts and is an alcoholic at this point.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? She might have just went crazy and wrote a confession letter. It makes more sense that she would be wandering into the forest with Katherine.
Yeah, because you think about, like, if you're going to go willingly with somebody into a forest.
Like, why are you going with this random security guard you probably don't even know?
Yeah, it probably, because, like, I'm sure something would, like, trigger in your head that, like, hey, something's not right here. But if it's your best friend, there you go, man. Like, obviously, like, who else is going to make you let your guard down? A really close friend or a family member.
Right.
Hey, come with me and walk into the woods. Now you're probably going to get shot.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So, yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. And supposedly, according to Jamie, when she shot her, she had this look of like surprise on her face as she like spun around and fell down. And apparently, shooting her in the back of the head didn't kill her, so she double tapped her, and that was it. Apparently.
Well, yeah, it was like a small like caliber gun anyway.
Well,
it was a 22.
Yeah, but 22s are favored by assassins, especially at close range, because the bullet will penetrate the skull, but it won't leave an exit wound.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is the bullet ricochets in your brain and like slices it up, and usually the first shot's lethal.
Yeah.
She probably didn't need to use the second shot, but hey, it's good to be thorough. What? I'm just saying, if you're gonna do it, like always double tap them. Just saying.
It's beautiful.
What?
I'm just like thinking of like, making a brain slushy up there.
Making a brain slushy. Okay, Jessi Slaughter. Oh my god. Nobody knows who Jessi Slaughter is anymore.
Yeah.
That was the thing back in the
maybe we
late
should cover
2000s.
Jessi.
No, I don't know.
She's turned into a miserable person.
Yeah, she'd probably just sue us for slander at that point, even though there's like a ton of videos documenting her bullshit. But yeah.
She's gonna call the fucking cyber police on us.
Yeah, they're gonna backtrace it to us, and we're
come
gonna
get us here in the closet.
Get the party van at our house. But yeah.
So let's see here.
May 27th, 2010.
She's found guilty of first-degree murder and is sentenced to life.
And that's it. Case closed.
Case closed.
Done. Hey, if you're gonna shoot your friends in the back of the head, maybe not try to have a conscience about it later on in life. Live your life, Don't get into some shitty marriage and get divorced and stuff.
And start drinking heavily and
become an alcoholic. I bet you really regret getting this off your chest when you're, having to deal with the problems that is women's prison.
Oh, jeez.
So
women's prison in the South.
Yeah, women's prison. Everybody thinks, oh yeah, in male prison you get raped and stuff. No, that's really not as common. That's very uncommon, actually. It happens in women's prison, though. Very common in women's prison.
And I really doubt that it is air conditioned in the women's prison in really sweaty Alabama.
No. So what I've heard, I mean, I can't speak for women's prisons, but what I've heard about men's prisons in the South, it's not air conditioned. It's not air conditioned. You'll see the walls sweating and stuff like that. It's miserable. So yeah.
Yeah. What was it? I was doing a little bit of research because I want to cover the vampire killers sometime soon, because that is a case I followed quite a bit, being a goth kid in high school in the 90s. So one of the perpetrators, like, parents went to visit her son in prison, and he was, and still is, down in Florida. Apparently it was so hot and humid in there, he would just like lay naked on his floor because it was concrete and that's the only place it was somewhat cold.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it was just like the walls were all sweating and disgusting. There was no air conditioner. It smells.
Yeah, don't go to prison. Don't go. Just don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not saying don't commit crimes, but just be smart, kids. Just it ain't worth it. That bar fight that will maybe you really hurt somebody and you get a year and then you have to put in work in prison and it'll turn into 10 years. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, depending on where you are in America, but yeah.
From what I heard, over in California right now, they went and put a new law through to make like some drug offenses and like things like shoplifting no longer a felony. They're now a misdemeanor. So
good.
Everybody. It backfired. Everyone's going in right now and just shoplifting like crazy because they know the police won't come because they don't want to deal with it. So,
oh my god!
Yeah, like everybody's like going in and just like shoplifting like crazy, and then like
good
got
take
their own,
that
like,
Walmart.
Yeah, they've got their own like black mark going on, like Skid Row.
I don't honestly. Good. I don't care. Like it.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like good. Like you've had all this funding. You could clean up Skid Row anytime you want to, and you won't. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Let them shoplift from Walmart. Walmart's insurance policy. It's not even going to touch them. It's not even going to hurt them in the slightest. Even if they have like thousands of dollars of stuff lifted every day, it's not going to hurt them. So.
No, I don't care.
I don't care. And plus, like California's. Thanks, Kamala Harris. California's 3-strike rule is just such bullshit. Like the fact that you can just like commit like 2 like low-level felonies and then you just like get the third one, and you just have like you're basically life in prison. Like, just it's stupid. It's so dumb. Like, that shouldn't be that way.
So they're getting a little bit better on that. There is a podcast out there. I'm forgetting, the name is like totally like escaping me right now, but it was one that I really like to listen to during work. So I mean, you could do some Google searching and figure this out pretty well. It's called Ear Hustle.
Okay, what's it about?
So there is a podcast that goes on inside of San Quentin.
Inside of San
Quentin.
Okay.
And the host was a guy who was doing life on the Three Strikes, as well as like a woman who was like a journalist. So they did the show together. And it's a really, really good show, but the show's fallen off now because the governor pardoned him.
Oh, wow.
So he got out.
Wow.
So, I mean, he now is like in a halfway house in the Bay Area. They did a couple of episodes when he got out, but there hasn't been anything really new that I've found.
Wow. I mean, well,
since,
good for him for getting pardoned.
Yeah, he got pardoned.
Good.
But yeah, if you want something that's like kind of like jail-based type stuff. Well, I don't know. I like watching jail shows. Like that was like one of my favorite things, like Lockdown, San Quentin, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I follow Wes Watson on YouTube, and I'll watch Fresh Out every now and then, like Big Herc. But yeah, so yeah. I'm not above that. Don't get me wrong.
Like I'm sure stuff like on those are sensationalized, just like Investigation Discovery. But this is like stuff that's being recorded by actual like prisoners that are there.
Yeah,
and like they have to get approval, obviously, from like the warden and stuff like that, who seems pretty cool about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, that's good. Because wardens can make your life hell. So
yeah, he seemed pretty cool about a lot of this, but it's kind of like firsthand accounts from prisoners who are there, and there's some pretty interesting stories.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. All right, we're on like 46 minutes. Anything else you wanna?
Nah, I think I'm good. I think that like we got more information than I think we thought we were gonna get.
Yeah, I thought this was gonna be a pretty short episode, but it wasn't.
It actually rounded out to be a normal like episode
ish. Yeah. So that was the Katherine Foster murder. So yeah, if y'all want us to cover another murder or another topic, like shit,
it doesn't have to be true crime. Like we're not specifically true crime. We have to like put ourselves in a certain genre for like category purposes on things.
And I mean, this is obviously our more consistent interest, but we'll talk about anything. Between Jurgi and I, we've both had very broad experiences in life. So if you want our take on certain things, current issues or things going on like that.
Social stuff.
No problems with that. I have no problems doing research for that. And I mean, hell, I could just go off the top for certain things. Yeah. So literally anything, I don't care.
Like when we did body positivity, like there was almost no prep for that. Like
none whatsoever. That was spur of the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did not talk about doing that beforehand. It just kind of happened and became its own thing. So
we still haven't found out like why we have all this traffic for the friggin' Hammer Bros.
Yeah.
We're over 900 views now. So if anybody knows.
Hey, shout out to everyone listening in the Ukraine, if you can understand what I'm saying. But yeah. What we should do another Ukrainian killer soon.
We should.
But yeah, anyways. All right, let's get out of here.
All right,
bye.
That's Svidanya.
What? What does that mean?
Goodbye in Russian.
Oh, okay. Jesus. Нет!